31 days of sharing. Reluctant Success family, I'm coming back at you again live. This is Jerry Franklin Poe, part of the month of December 31 Days of Sharing series. Today I started talking about a book, one of my top books of all time, How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie. And there was so much information, so much content, so many nuggets in here that I said, you know what, I might spend a couple days on this. And as I was going through this today, it was like a double benefit. One benefit was my opportunity to share with you. The other benefit was a reminder to myself of things that I have forgotten. I like to look at life from a perspective of 3 R's. Sometimes you need reminders, sometimes you need revelations, and sometimes you just need to be refreshed on ideas that you have gotten away from. You are still doing it, but you're just not like doing it to the same level you were doing it before. So reminders, revelations, and refreshing of, the skill set, just getting like a resharpening of that tool. So there's been a lot of reminders and things that I need to be like refreshed on that I have just taken for granted, or I wasn't applying it to the level that I should be applying it. So as we're going through this over the next couple lives, I'm going to be talking about this book. Let me know what about this book, the How to Win Friends and Influence People. What about this book specifically by Dale Carnegie has been a benefit to you? Put in the comments. Share with me what are some of the insights you've gotten from these videos on this great book that was written almost 90 years ago, which is so fascinating that principles, they never die out. Once a principle is discovered, and once a principle once you get a hold of a principle, that principle can be used. It's like gravity, Newton's laws when it comes to physics, laws of motion, object in motion, continue motion to interrupted by an outside force. An object at rest wants to stay at rest. These things don't change. So these human nature principles, they don't change. So once you learn them and you engage in them, it will still work. So what he wrote about 90 years ago is still great and applicable today. And I want to continue on the part that we were discussing earlier, which was fundamental techniques for handling people. Fundamental techniques for handling people. And earlier we talked about the principle of don't criticize, don't condemn, don't complain. I shared a lot of great quotes in the book on that. So if you didn't catch the first part, I would definitely say go get the replay, watch the replay, and that way you'll be able to get all those nuggets so you don't miss anything. And I want to continue with some of the quotes that I grabbed from the book or extracted from the book on principle number 2 when it comes to fundamental techniques to handling people. And that was the give honest and sincere appreciation. Give honest and sincere appreciation. We shared about how one of the human nature desires or human nature needs is this urge to feel important and this desire to be appreciated. So there were some quotes as I was going through the book more this afternoon, and this is all live coming at you, so it's not like I pre-planned this. Some of this is spontaneous. I was just pulling things out that I wanted to share, but I was like, man, I didn't intend to get all this information, so I wanted to get as much of this to you as possible. So here's some great quotes that I got from the book this afternoon as I was going through it and pulling out my notes. And one was from a gentleman named Charles Schwab. Now, when you think about this book being 90 years old, and some of the successful people that we look at today, we hear like these companies like Carnegie Mellon, right? Andrew Carnegie and Charles Schwab, then the financial world. So these people were still alive doing business when this book was created. So one of the things that Charles Schwab said that was quoted in the book is, I consider my ability to arouse enthusiasm among my people the greatest asset I possess. The way to develop the best that is in a person is by appreciation and encouragement. That's interesting. So his philosophy was to show appreciation and to give encouragement in order to bring out the best from people. And he continued on to say that there's nothing else that so kills the ambition of a person as criticisms from supervisors. So this is his words. These are not mine. He So I never criticize anyone. I believe in giving a person incentive to work. So I am anxious to praise, but loth to find fault. I like anything, if I like anything, I am hearty in my approbation and lavish in my praise. Now, I mentioned earlier today that in this book, a lot of the language or words are not words that we use a lot today. So when you think about this word, loath, I don't hear a lot of people using that word a lot. So it's another word for that would be unwilling, opposed. So he's opposed to finding fault or unwilling to find fault in people. And approbation, I don't hear a lot of people using that word today, or a lot of people using that in sentences, or just approbation is approval. It's another word for admiration or praise. So he says, I am hearty in my approbation. So I'm hearty in my admiration for people. I'm hearty in my approval, and I'm lavish in my praise. So he's eager to give people praise for what they do right, and he's slow to criticize folks. And there's something, you hear about that, like being slow to anger, slow to wrath. And those are interesting things. But here's another one I thought was intriguing. This is all being quoted from Charles Schwab. He said, in my wide association in life, meeting with many and great people in various parts of the world, I have yet to find the person, however great or exalted his station, who did not do better or put forth greater effort under a spirit of approval than he would ever do under a spirit of criticism. And that's really interesting. Basically what he's saying there is that through his life experience, no matter what status a person had that he came in contact with, no matter what level of success that person had, no matter what level of wealth or whatever the person had, that people always perform at a higher level when you are giving them approval or praise than they would if you're giving them criticism. So it's just about how people respond, because the whole thing's about dealing with people or handling people and increasing your likability factor. What was interesting in this section is the idea of appreciation versus flattery. And one of the things that it contrasted the two is that the difference between appreciation and flattery, and framed this as a question, is that it is simple. One is sincere, the other is insincere. One comes from the heart out, the other from the teeth out. One is unselfish, the other selfish. One is universally admired, and the other is universally condemned. So it's interesting how it was looking at the difference between appreciation and flattery, that flattery is something that is insincere versus appreciation is sincere. Flattery comes from the heart, but reverse that. Flattery comes from your lips, like it's lip service, but appreciation comes from your heart. One selfish versus one being unselfish. And it's interesting because I sense when we give appreciation versus giving flattery that people can sense it. I know, you can, when someone says something to you and their words hit you, it's like it almost like touches your heart, and you're like, oh, you really feel like, oh, I felt good when that person said it, but someone else said something and it was kind of like, yeah, whatever. So when people are showing you appreciation, the feeling that it creates in you, and when you show appreciation, the feeling that it creates in them is different than just giving flattering words. Here was a quote that I thought was interesting. It was from a guy. His name was it was a general, a military general. I think he was from the Mexican army. His name was General Alvaro Obregon, and he said, "Don't be afraid of enemies who attack. Be afraid of the friends who offer to flatter you." That was interesting. So don't be afraid of enemies who attack. Be afraid of friends who flatter you. I thought that was interesting, the way he put that or said that. Here's another quote about flattery. He said, "Flattery is telling the other person precisely what he thinks about himself. So what now again, all these pronouns that are being used, a lot of the are from a masculine or male perspective. That's just how things were written back then. But flattery is telling the other person precisely what they think about themselves. So it's interesting how that comes across. That flattery is telling the other person precisely what they think about themselves. So it's almost like you're not giving them appreciation for what you recognize about them, but it's almost like you're feeding into someone's ego, or you're feeding into someone's higher, or I mean, what I'm looking for there. It's almost like you're feeding into the person's not it's not even confidence. It's really their conceit that they have for themselves. It's like you're feeding into that. A couple more things. Ralph Waldo Emerson is quoted many times in the book. This one was interesting. It said, "I shall pass this way but once. Any good, therefore, that I can do, or any kindness that I can show to any human being, let me do it now. Let me not defer nor neglect it, for I shall not pass this way again." And this was mentioned in the book as something that he had posted up on his wall as a reminder that you're only here one time. This is not a dress rehearsal. You're not going to be coming back. There's no reruns for life. You can't put a replay on life. So you're here once. It's a one time through, one way. And while you're here, whatever you can do that's kind, whatever you can do that's good, don't wait. Show your kindness and your appreciation to another human being, because you're not going to be coming this way again. So it's not that you may not, you know, even if you believe in reincarnation, you don't come back in the same form that you were the first time. Here's another quote by Ralph Waldo Emerson that I thought was interesting. It said, "Every man I meet is my superior in some way, in that I learn of them." So he's looking at everyone he comes in contact with as this person has something that they can do. They have some skill, some talent, some gift that I don't have. So superior means that they are better at something than you may be at a particular gift, right? We all have different giftings, and some people are better in certain areas than others. So every person is someone that you can learn from, regardless of who they are, regardless of where they're from, regardless of what they look like. It's a very interesting perspective, and it helps you if you frame your mind this way. It's a mindset shift. Then when you look for these things about people, that what is the goodness that you see, what is the gift that they have, what is the talent that they possess, then it allows you to give that sincere, honest appreciation. And it's not going to be something that's fake and phony, and you don't sound inauthentic when you communicate with people, and your likability factor goes up to a higher notch because people are sensing the goodness in you when you go to communicate with them and talk to them. So this was another reminder for me of the principle to give honest and sincere appreciation. And I'll leave you with this last one. It said, "Let's cease thinking of our accomplishments, our wants, and let's try to figure out the other person's good points." So, which is going back to the thing I said earlier about looking for the goodness, looking for the greatness, looking for the God inside of every person you come in contact with, and not giving flattery, but giving sincere appreciation for them as a human being, a person on this planet existing. So until next time, my friends, I'm going to be continuing with this book, and the reason why, number one, is I believe it's worth sharing. Number two, it's helping remind me of things that I have forgotten. It's helping refresh skills that I have gotten a little bit lazy on, because it's been a long time since I've actually gone through this book or read this book. So by going through it for 31 days of sharing, to extract some things that I thought would be great, because for those who've been following me for a long time on social media, I love quotes. I like to share quotes. I think of quotes as just a way to shift your mindset and to change your thoughts for the day or change your thoughts for the week. So what are the benefits that you're getting from this book? What are you extracting as you're hearing these excerpts from How to Win Friends and Influence People? And how are you going to be applying them to your life this week, this month, as we close out the year? How can you show honest and sincere appreciation when it comes to people? This month of December is supposed to be about the month of giving, the month of showing our higher level of kindness. Now, I personally believe that that shouldn't be reserved for just December, that this spirit that people get into around this time of year, it's something that we should continue for the whole year. Why wait to December to show kindness and to care? What if we extended that for all 12 months rather than just today? So follow me with the 31 days of sharing. Go like this my page, share the video, like this video, share this video. Go to Jerry Franklin Poe on Facebook, like my page so you'll get notifications of when new videos are going to be posted live. And follow me with reluctantsuccess.com. That is the website I've put together where I'm doing a weekly webinar series to help people when it comes to building their businesses from a sales perspective, helping you get a new mindset around what selling can actually be. Because a lot of people have this idea that sales is about this sleazy, this pushy type of person that you have to be, and that's not it at all. So this weekend on Saturday at 11 a.m., I'm doing a free webinar on speaking to sell. So if you have to do any presentations, you have to sell an idea. It's not even about just selling a product or a service. It's about getting people to buy in to an idea you might be presenting to your organization, to your employees, to your staff members, your senior staff, or whatever it might be. Check that out by going to, at the bottom of the screen, you'll see it says reluctantsuccess.com. And I'll be sharing some of the secrets that I have discovered over the 16 years of teaching seminars all over North America. I've taught over 1,600 6-hour seminars over the last 15, 16 years. And I've been able to use these techniques to help me get ideas across to over 50,000 people through the course of my trainings. So until next time, my friends, thank you for tuning in. Thank you for being a part of the Reluctant Success family. So remember to be valiant, be vigilant, and be victorious.